let's talk a little bit about biggest winners and losers. Some of the biggest winners and losers in this patch. I guess we'll scroll through and think about it, right? Abigail, he lost. Abigail lost in this patch. Akuma probably actually won, even though despite some of his small nerfs, I think he's fine. I think he probably got some good buffs to help him out. Alex, small win. Not as big as I think people think. His overall Oki game is increased, but he's still going to struggle in the middle of the screen, which is where you have to win, I think. Birdie, a small win. I think overall a little bit better. They tried to make some of his V-Trigger 2 stuff a little bit more consistent to use. I like that they buffed his low threats with a down forward heavy punch. I think that's good. Almost as good as Sammy Fish's 15 months in a row. Thanks very much. Shut the hell up. Laura's fine. Small win. Birdie's low threat's a little bit better. Blanca win in this patch. He got some cool new cancels. He already was a pretty good character. The Fierce change so that he can do Fierce, Hop, Fierce is really nice on Crush Counter. And some of the new cancels and changes to his EX Rainbow to make some of his stuff better. I think overall, good patch for him. Balrog, probably small win. Nothing too big. I think the inconsistency issue he had with EX Dash Ray being fixed is great, and also being able to combo to light, medium, heavy is nice off of the V-skill cancel. Not too much changed overall, so it's probably a small win. Cammy lost. She was a loser in this patch, as she should be. Mostly the crouching light punch change. The losing stun is pretty big, but overall, I think her ground game and dive kicks and offense are still pretty good, but some noticeable nerfs to some of the areas where she shined, I think, were important. Chun-Li, about the same. Maybe a small win, I guess, actually, because of the V-skill changes, and yeah. A small win, I'd say, because of the V-skill changes and her extra juggles, but nothing too important. Vega, small win, nothing huge. Some extra cancels to make switching a little bit better and also make some of his Claude moves a little bit more reasonable and made his pressure better after roll, which I think is actually pretty meaningful. Yeah, he's all right. Cody, big win. I think some of these walk speed changes, the juggle changes, I think they're pretty big. I think he got some good changes to help him out. These are pretty sizable win. I think Cody's chilling. And the VT changes are good. Dalsum, about the same. Nothing too big. He got some, the EX Flame, for instance, was a pretty big nerf. The jump medium punch cancels okay. I think overall, some of the changes to the frame data on like heavy kick and other moves, and also the change on the speed of the fireballs are nice, but probably not huge. Bison, big win. Extremely strong in this version of the game. The fact that he didn't really get any big negative changes, and he got lots of good buffs, big win. I think one of the best characters in this version on in my head early as a prediction. Very big win. Ed, small win. Nothing too crazy. Extra stuff to fix inconsistencies with adding additional range on Psycho Upper and stuff like that, and some extra V-Trigger 2 stuff, which I already thought V-Trigger 2 is what you'd play, as well as the anti-air V-skill. It's probably a small win for Ed. Falk, I don't know. It's hard to say. Some small losses and maybe also some big wins. I think that she gets better, but not in the way people expected. You know? I don't think it's like a huge change to this character. As big as people thought. I think it's probably good, but not great. Same with Fong. I think good, but not great. Small win. Even with some of the changes to the fly or the consistency on the light sleeves comboing off lights or the Rio Benda hitting more consistent. It's nothing that's crazy. It all seems like it's okay, so small win for him. G is a big win. I can't believe this character didn't get nerfed very heavily, and he got some really nice buffs. I think this character ends up very strong in this version of the game. Probably one of the best robbery characters in this version. Guile's a big loss. Got a lot of nerfs. I think despite that, we'll probably still end up being mid-tier, but some pretty big nerfs. Some pretty big nerfs. Yeah, on the topic of G, I think, and it's not close, that his V-Trigger 1 is the most degenerate in the game. Might be the most degenerate V-Trigger that's existed in the game. He's very good. Ibuki, big win. No big nerfs. The biggest one probably being the Shuriken nerf makes her pretty good in this version of the game. I think if you're an Ibuki player, you're probably surprised but happy that she didn't get huge nerfs. Jury, small win. Nothing big. Nothing huge and far of changes. She probably benefits the most from other characters getting nerfed instead of anything else. Karen, big win. I think she's really good in this version. I think she's a really strong character, and I think her not getting any big changes and also the nice buff she got to the backstep, these are all pretty big. And also 25 health goes a long way. You don't want to spend it all in one place. Loss for Ken. boy, it's rough. Some of these nerfs, they don't seem too bad when you look at them in isolation, but when you consider that some of the other characters around his level got some shiny new tools and he didn't really get anything that meaningful, that's a loss for Ken. Big win for Colleen. I think this is a good patch for her. She's really strong. I think potential top 5 character in this version. She's a good patch for Colleen players. Big win. I think she's pretty strong in this version of the game. Also, another tool to get through fireballs. Always good. Laura, win. She got a win in this patch. She got some meaningful buffs with her target combo in particular, and also command throw damage, and her V-trigger command throw damage is huge. It does a grip. Pretty big win for Laura in this patch. I think she's probably pretty happy with a knockdown that she can V-skill cancel and some overheads. I think she's good. Minot, I was going to say a loss, but I feel like how light her nerfs are is almost a win. She's about the same in the sense that she got worse, but other characters got beaten down a lot worse than she did. So small loss. The core of her game is still there. It may be a little bit more difficult for her to just beat you with 2 V-triggers, obviously, right? But she's still pretty good. Mika, about the same, and I think you'll call that a win. Still really good in this version of the game. She's about the same. Nash, small win. Nothing too big. Nothing that's extremely interesting or enticing. Just some small changes of V-trigger. Small win. Nikali, a boring but safe win. Rashid, big win. I think some nice changes that really help him out. And also not getting nerfed at all is really great. When you get nerfed the way he did at the start of season 3.5 and still end up probably top 5 by the end of the season or close to it, and then the next season you don't get big nerfs, you're winning. You're feeling good about your wins. Ryu, I think a pretty big win. Nothing too crazy, but we'll call this a medium-sized win. I think he's happy about it. I think he's pretty happy with where he sits here. Ryu is not a top-tier character in this version, but, he's good. I didn't say Nikali was bad. I say he won. It was just a boring win. Sagat, small win. Nothing too big here. Some nice quality of life changes. I think a pretty okay character in this version, but nothing to write home about. Surprised by some of the changes. I thought he'd get more. Sakura, pretty big win, but nothing huge. I think a lot of people think it's a slam dunk. I think it's not quite a slam dunk. I think it's a pretty safe layup. It's okay. Nothing too crazy here. Better pressure, better V-trigger 1. That's probably the biggest thing. And overall, just a little bit better at getting in and getting what she needs to do. She's okay. A little layup. Yeah, just tip it off the glass. Nice and safe. Urian didn't change very much at all. I think that's a win and a loss in some ways. Give him a light win. Zangief, small win. Some good changes, but nothing that's going to make him top tier. I think some of the system changes hurt him a bit, and they try to buff him to compensate for that, and I think he'll be okay. More viable than he once was, especially with Abigail getting some nerfs. He becomes a little bit more enticing for the big body players. Unfortunately. Zeku, big win. I think very good in this version of the game. Was good in the last version. Some pretty strong buffs to old Zeku, which is the version most people didn't play. And now, with both old and young Zeku being pretty viable, big win. I think this is a good patch for this character. So that's the summary.